So this is my video response this week to the Pagan Perspective topic last week. By the way, happy birthday to the channel, 2 years, that is fucking awesome. Also, happy 21st birthday to Kara, massive congratulations. Now you can legally drink, but if you're here, you'd already be drinking for at least 3 years. So, but yeah, this week's topic was asking about have we used woods in our magical practice, and just any research and information we may have on using different woods in our practice, which the question that was from time to time. And then we also had a second question from, where are we? Cyborg Slayer Nyla, who was asking about making our own wands. So I'm going to link those two questions together pretty much. So with my own personal practice, I have used some woods with it. Like I have a wand that I haven't completed yet, but I've made I carved it I think about 4 or 5 years ago. But I just haven't managed to complete it because it just hasn't felt right yet. But it's made from hawthorn wood, and I was pretty much given that piece of wood at a workshop back in 2006, and I shaped it, I've worked with it, I've sanded it down. I just don't know how I want to finish it off, but I have heard of different methods in finishing it, like leather strapping the handle, so you can actually do a weave pattern on the handle and putting that in there. Any crystals I may associate with that particular working, and I don't know if this wind is going to bother this, but yeah, I'm going to keep going because I can. But yeah, any crystals you may want to associate with. Also, I've heard of people drilling holes in it to hide little pieces in there. A friend of mine made a wand, and she actually dug out a hole or a little cavity inside of it. And for the customer she was making the wand for, she actually put some pomegranate seeds in there because the person was working with, I think it was either Hades or Persephone, and it felt appropriate for them to use that, and they collected the seeds themselves, and she placed them inside the wood for them. In relation to woods for wands as well, I think it's really much about personal practice. You can do a lot of research about, say, I think Cole was mentioning in his video about apple being associated with love and oak associated with wisdom, but it also depends on your location, because a lot of that information, if you're in, say, England, it may be appropriate for that landscape and that sort of area where you are. The knowledge and wisdom imparted by the trees there could be covered by that. But if you're living in, say, someone like America, it may be a different sort of information or wisdom that they're imparting there. Or for me, myself, living here in Australia, we do have different trees to what you guys have. And then we also do have a lot of European trees as well. But it's down to the location as to what sort of medicine and information they can impart. So they may be giving a different message for what they are. So say an oak here, an oak in the UK might be wisdom and knowledge. The same oak from the same family here may have that same base wisdom, but they might also bring a different wisdom with them. So maybe something about strength and structure. But it's very much about, if you're going to be working with woods, I personally think you need to sit down with the tree that you're planning on working with. So whether it is if you want to work with willow tree, go to your local area or somewhere where there's willow trees. Go there, make offerings, commune with the tree, pretty much ask to receive its wisdom and knowledge and medicine, because if you're going to, there's the generic wood meanings, but then there's also those that are personalized, because you have to remember each tree is like a person as well. They have their own individual personalities, their own different attributes and properties that they bring to it. We're also collecting wood for trees. Where possible, I try to collect dropped branches, but if I'm working with a particular tree or plant for a very long time, I will ask it for its permission to receive part of its plant or essence to be able to use that, because if I've built a relationship with it, transferring that energy and relationship into the wood that I'm using from that can be considered a gift from that plant, and carrying its own medicine wisdom with me during that can be a lot better. So it's kind of I know that there's a book, I think by Christopher Penczak, about plant familiars, which I think a friend of mine did a review on it, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I've heard it's a fantastic book. So it's about communing with different plants and different herbs and learning their own personal medicines, not just what you read in books. So I think that's a good thing to work out if you're going to be wanting to craft your own wand and want to know kind of just a general idea what wood to approach or what tree to approach. And then, yeah, just go find a tree and building a relationship, making offerings, giving it sustenance, so bringing it some fertilizer or bringing it some water, but just making, or giving part of yourself as well. So whether it be nail clippings, whether it be some hair, or just anything that's part of yourself to give to it. And I forgot to say also, in relation to finishing off a wand, I think for me personally, I'd want to use something natural for the handle, so maybe like cotton cord. But a good way to seal it, if you don't want to use like a lacquer, which can usually be very chemically based, I've heard a really good thing to seal it with is beeswax. So what you do is you just get like a cloth and you just wipe the beeswax into it, and it actually creates a barrier on the wood to prevent moisture from getting in and spoiling it. So I think also Cyborg, what's her name? Slayer? Nyla? I've got my paper here and it's all tangled up because I'm filming with my hand. That sounds wrong, but I'm holding the camera. Yeah. Cyborg Slayer Nyla also asked about which directions we use to represent which element. I'm just readjusting because I'm getting uncomfortable here. But yeah, so for me personally, being in the Southern Hemisphere, I know a lot of the Northern Hemisphere, the North, will be considered Earth. I had to remember that. I'm like, wait, gone straight in my correspondence. So the North there is considered Earth, and South being fire, East being air, and West being water. So for my own personal practice, for a generic set and crafting, North is fire, being the equator at the hottest point, being in our north section. East, due to the sun rising in the dawn and the associations of air being, air in the east, with air being associated with dawn and that time of first light. South being earth, because the South Pole, and earth being associated with the season of winter. And then west being water, because the sun sets in the west on the horizon and sets in the water. But I also believe that with correspondence to directions, you can also use it locally. And if you're continually using, like doing workings in the same particular space every single time that you're doing it, I suggest you and recommend you actually get to know your local environment, because you may find that, I think Eric actually mentioned it in his video about locational correspondences, but when I was running a circle back in Sydney, we actually had the associations based on the connection to what was actually physically around the area or environment we were working in. So north was fire because of the equator, and then we had south was air because of the southerly winds that we get here. West was earth because west of where we were was the center of Australia, which is the largest earth mass. And then we had east being water because it was straight out to the ocean. So I think for correspondences with that, it's very much down to locational based with that as well. And I don't know if it was included in this, but I'm going to include it anyway. In relation with elements and tools, for me, the wand itself I associate with air because the wind just came up. But yeah, wand being associated with air because it's traditionally the wand is made of wood, associated with tree, which they filter and process air for me, and it's about being crafted from that. I associate swords or the athame with fire because it's crafted and forged with fire, so the transformation and heating that's involved in the wood, not in the wood, in the metal, sorry. The chalice or the cauldron is associated with water, of course, because it's a vessel that holds water. And then the pentacle or the shield, depending on what you work with, I associate with earth because of protection and the grounding that's associated with that. And usually they're made from clay, or they can be made from like a metal, which are both products that come from the earth. And I'm pretty sure there was one more question. I'm just going to check. Actually, I think there was two more questions, but I'll find them. Oh, so in relation to correspondences, Chrissy Rose also asked about, is there right and wrong correspondences? Personally, I think you need to go watch Kara's video on Tuesday because she put it down fantastically well. Whatever works for you personally for a correspondence is what works. There is a lot of magic that's been associated with correspondences through continual use. So your basic things like fire with whatever direction, like fire with north or south, depending on where you are. because it's been used and practiced so much, it has its own magic behind it. But if you were to put in your own tradition and your own path the correspondences that work for you, like I was trying to remember, like color associations, I always found interesting because I've run workshops on chord making, and asking people what colors they associate with certain elements really shows you the difference in each person's practice. Like you'll have one person that will associate green with earth, and then I had someone else that associated with water because of the ocean and that as well. A person that associated yellow with fire and white with air. It seems every time I say air, the wind comes up, but I'm loving it. I'll show you guys where I am, like at the end of this. But yeah, so those associations there. And now my phone's ringing. But yeah, so just turn that off. That's off now. But yeah, so I think very much down, it's very shaky today, but yeah, very much down to your own personal correspondences and what you feel appeals to you. The only time when you can have a wrong correspondence is when you're like, if you're reading a book and it says that for this spell you need to use a purple candle for spirit, and for you personally purple does not correspond to spirit. That's, for me, is personally the only time I think that it would be considered a wrong correspondence. But yeah, so I think that's for that. And then the last question we have, there's a lot of questions this week, but I think it was kind of good. Okay, so Novel Sunrise was Novel Sunrise was the last one. Was asking about, is there a danger in doing something in ritual the wrong way, or is it best to practice it feels right for them? Oh, well, pretty much the way I answered just the correspondences question. It is your personal practice. Down at the end of it, you're performing the magics, you're performing the rites. The only danger in the wrong correspondence is, like I was saying, if something does not feel right for you or does not connect with you, your intention may falter because you have not been able to fully focus on what you're actually doing, and it may prevent the magic you're trying to perform from being as effective as it can be. So pretty much it's just down to personal practice, and I think we say that a lot on all these videos, but yeah, it's just down to how you personally feel about something in relation to everything, because like I said, it's your own personal working, it's your own personal magic, and if you personally don't feel you're doing something correctly, it's the only time that it's wrong. And it may just be about a shift in focus, a shift in change. It may be you may just be going through a transition and realizing that there are other correspondences and there are other things. Like when you started, like you might start on your practice, and a lot of us will go through and we'll look at all the correspondences with elements and directions, and some things just may not feel right to us, and that's fine. And it's about going through and exploring that yourself, because this path is continually about exploring yourself, exploring your own connection in relation to the god and the goddess, your own connection in relation to the elements, the environment around you, and connection to everything and anything about you. You are a reflection of the universe. So what you reflect out, you need to reflect internally as well. So if you can understand everything that's part of you, every aspect, every connection within you, and once you get all that information, you can perform your practice with minimal effort and minimal chance of something being wrong or incorrect, because you know that you've done it correctly, you know that you've done it right, and you know that within yourself you acknowledge this. And I think that's pretty much it. I hope that this isn't too windy, but I really like this spot and I was walking past here, so I figured I'd kind of just record it, and it was appropriate because I'm sitting amongst a whole bunch of trees and talking about nature. But yeah, I think, actually no, now that I'm reading, there was a Novel Sunrise was also asking about evil, nasty, negative entities as well. If you protect yourself right, if you know what you're doing, you're confident within yourself and your own practice, nothing should really affect it. It's if you leave yourself open to anything like that is when you need to worry about it, because you should be able to deal with anything that may be summed up with your workings or anything that may be attracted to your workings. And don't be afraid to ask for help. If you find you're in a situation where you can't handle what maybe have worked up into your space because you may have it may be an area where there may be negative energy attached to and your working has activated it, just ask for help. Whether it be your own guardians, your own guides, divine help, just pretty much don't be afraid to ask for help because they can step in. There's, depending on what you believe, there's your own little personal guardians, personal deities, whether it be guardian angels, whether it be like ancestor spirits, just call and summon on them because they can offer you help and guidance in it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm just going to show you now where I'm actually sitting because I love this place and it's fantastic and it's a good representation of nature. So down there's the little creek. So you got all the going around your tree, and then that's all your little creek and river stuff. And I love this tree, all the nodding and the roots and everything there is amazing. But yeah, so guys, that's my video for this week. I hope it made some sense and you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment below and look out for, there's a couple of videos coming up this week because my vlog has reached a year of doing it and I also just hit 200 subscribers, so I'm mega excited and there will be a awesome video coming up this week, so keep an eye out for that. So much love and blessings, and blessed be. So I just figured I'd show you this. This was where I filmed my video yesterday, and it just proves what a bit of rain can do. So that was a little bit where you could probably walk across yesterday, and then there was a little island down there which are almost covered now. And you can see how far the water's got up to the roots on the tree. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you on my way back past here. The little trickle that was there before is a bit of a flood now. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And bye.